So tell us about you're traveling early in life.
Just all of
Earlier.
it. Just
Every travel.
Let's take us through some of
just
the.
in one lump sum. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
let's start somewhere reasonable. This is not the first event, but it is one of the most impactful.
Sure.
So this is back in my preaching days.
Mhm.
So I was a good little virgin Jehovah's Witness boy.
I was thinking Mormon, so I didn't know.
Oh,
It's close. They're
Well,
similar.
no, like I knew there was something, but I
Right,
didn't think you were.
right.
I didn't think it was Christian.
He was giving off a Mormon vibe to you.
He had.
I get it.
He had the
Classic
I
Mormon
was a
vibes.
Mormon once vibe.
Ah, yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I was a fundamentalist Christian for a long time vibe.
Uh-huh.
Until I was 23, in fact.
Yep.
So at $5 an hour working at Superstore, I saved up $4,000.
You were at the
Which,
Superstore?
yeah,
Yeah, me too.
which is enough to live in Mexico for months at a time.
Yeah.
So I headed on down to Mexico to quote unquote help where the need is greater,
Sure.
which means the missionary system in that organization works a little differently than most, but anyone can go help and go preach where more preachers and more teachers are required.
Right.
So that was like at 1920, that was kind of my thing. I'm going to go help where the need is greater.
Sure.
So I saved a bunch of money making $5 an hour. Let me reiterate that. There was a lot of hours
Yeah,
spent
how many
working
hours is that?
overnight stocking shelves.
What? 160 hours? No, that's way too low. How many
Oh.
hours would that? My
make
math
it
is failing me.
To make
this morning.
$5,000?
To make $4,000, how long would you have to make at $5 an hour?
5 goes into
80
1,200
800
times.
hours at least.
Yeah, 800 hours
800 hours of
But
savings.
he's
Sorry.
getting taxed on that too.
for
yeah.
sure.
So
And-
to take home
and-
4 grand, oof.
And that's after, of course,
What would
living
be
expenses.
equivalent to that today? Do you think? Because we've inflated so much, right?
Well, we're $15 minimum wage, so
Yeah.
$150,000.
But $4,000 isn't $12,000 now. In
I mean, it's
Mexico,
like
right?
saving 15 grand today
Yeah.
minimum wage.
Well, what I'm trying to get at is like, could you get there quicker today than you did, or would it be slower?
Well, it'd be a
based
third,
on-
right?
Well, like, have prices gone up in Mexico?
Oh, actually, yeah, they have.
Have they?
Not ridiculously so,
Because what I'm getting
but
at
probably
is like, could you take your currency here, because we have tripled our
Yeah.
minimum wage
Yeah.
since then, and is that triple the money in Mexico?
not sure, probably double.
See, worldwide, like it's a really weird thing where, years ago, I think some places were closer together financially.
Yeah.
Mhm,
We're spreading out more from
Yeah.
the bottom, right?
Yes and no. However, this is similar as a small cap stock in the stock market versus a large cap stock in the stock market. So a small cap, say a company that has a total market value of $5 million. That's their whole operation. They have one factory, a bricks and mortar storefront, and a website. And they're a small cap company. For them to double their value, their net worth in a couple of years is not impossible.
Right.
A large cap company, say Microsoft, they're not going to double their value in the next couple of years because they're already a teetering
Well, yeah.
tower of wealth and equity.
They don't need to.
Exactly.
An
Well-
increment as small as a percentage.
Yeah,
is
because the
enormous.
small cap company to double needs to add $5 million to their total value. For
Yeah.
Microsoft to double, they need to add
Oh yeah.
$490 billion.
What's the difference between $5 and $15? Really?
Exactly.
$10. However,
That's right. So what we're talking about in inflation then is that you go to a place like Mexico, when something that here costs $1 was 8 cents there,
yeah.
now it costs $1.20 here, and there it might cost 35 cents. So for us, it's only gone up 15%. For them, it's gone up 300%.
Yeah, it's gone up a lot more, but still the
Yeah.
amount hasn't gone up as much.
That's right.
So
that's
we're
right.
still pulling ahead, but they're on a faster curve at that point.
Yeah, that's right. Their
But
curve
that might slow
percentage-wise
down.
looks different.
That might slow down once they get to higher numbers, though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, because percentages will always decrease as you grow,
exactly.
but those
exactly.
percentages mean more.
Well, and when we're talking about wealth and economy, wealth builds more wealth.
Yeah.
So as these countries do speed up their inflation, now I'm not saying inflation is a good thing by any means.
No.
Oftentimes the people most impoverished are hurt by inflation, but the country's overall wealth and economy can be improved because now you and I are going down there and we're paying $2 a beer
Sure.
instead of 47 cents a beer.
Yeah.
forget where I was going with this, but there's definitely
Well,
a different curve.
This would be the
happening.
dream, right? You make a modest amount of money in Canada and then go live like a billionaire in some smaller country, right?
So in Asia, this happens all the time,
I'm sure.
except it's still Asia. So what happens? You'll pop into some little bar in Phnom Penh, and there's just like half a dozen old white guys who look real sad and lonely sitting around.
Yeah,
Because they were like,
they have
that's
no
it. I'm
community.
retiring to name the country. Burma, Laos, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia. And now they're just like culture shock. They've left all their other community behind. And they're just kind of sitting in this bar, drinking away the last
My
days of their
thing
life.
is, like, I that would be me. I would be alone. I would need to bring my family with me,
Yeah.
which is what a lot of people do, right? Like,
Mhm.
we have a exchange worker, Kalu, at work from where are they? Nepalese. They're Nepalese, and his whole family lives in the one house,
Mhm.
and he's a hard-working guy, and
Yeah.
he's very, very smart. I don't know what he did in Nepal, but he certainly wasn't a dishwasher, right? Because he's more useful to us than that. He does all kinds of stuff for
Yeah.
us. But anyway, he he's paying, like, he's sending his money home,
Mhm.
but he's got enough money from support systems and stuff out here. But I'm sure the money he's sending to Nepal is worth like it's got to be like exponentially more money, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
he
of course.
he could
he's
probably
paying
send
for his whole family probably just working at an entry level position in Canada.
Yeah.
a
Like,
couple
that's
weeks.
fascinating.
A couple weeks of his minimum wage would be months of wages for them.
Yeah.
Like probably 3-4 months.
And that's
easily.
why, like, some people are like, "Oh, why does he work so hard?" I'm like, "Well, because for him, this is worth everything. Like,
Yeah.
it's worth. Can I gotta imagine he could be a doctor over there and maybe make less money than he's making this way,
Mhm.
Hmm.
right?
Talk about knowing the value of a dollar.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That's one of my main arguments. I'm not going to make this a political thing right now, but as much as I understand that UBI can be of great benefit to society as a whole, I have this weird moral nagging in the back of my mind saying that we shouldn't be just giving people money for free because it teaches people to not respect the value of a dollar and that it comes from us exchanging goods and services, and we as humans do gain a lot of value from working
Yeah.
and providing for ourselves.
Well, like I said when we first were talking about this subject, was like, I would, if I was given the chance to just have all the money I'm making now, I still would want to go into my job or
Yeah.
a job, maybe not as often, but because I feel like a slug without something to do, right? I don't want to be in sweatpants on the couch with Cheeto stains all over me forever.
I mean, sometimes you do.
Well, every now and then, but when you do that, it's
That's a
hard
treat.
earned. Yeah, it's a treat.
Yeah,
you
if it's
just treat-
every day, it's not special at all.
well,
Exactly.
when I was dating a girl from Ontario, who moved here to be with me, I was telling you about her. She never really lived in Lethbridge. She lived with me, right?
Mhm.
So everything she did was still at home somehow. So all she did in Lethbridge was sit on the couch and watch Netflix.
Her Alberta experience was Jeremy centric.
Yeah, and as soon as I would get home, she would jump all over me. It was like
Mhm.
she would want to ride me around town like pony kind of thing, right?
That's fun for the first 2 weeks.
It got old for both of us.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like her and I would probably have still been together, like today, maybe even if that weren't a factor, because we had a great connection. Like, we made a lot. What I mean by that is, like, we didn't have just lust. It was like we had that friendship vibe,
Mhm.
you know, where you could actually get along with this person.
You actually enjoyed each other's company
Yeah,
after hours.
which
you
is
know?
different because a lot of times you get with someone and you have that lust feeling, and then later you're like, oh, I actually hate you. Wow,
Pe-
you're actually really not good for me.
We should really teach each other, teach children in school that this whole concept of love isn't quite what it looks like in the Disney movies. That love is really just a cocktail of chemicals
Yeah.
released in your mind due to various biological triggers.
Well, we should be able to say that, right? But people hate the romance being taken out of it. Like,
Big time.
if you start like explaining that kind of stuff, they're like, just let them have the feeling, you know? Like, just let them be in love. They're young. It's like, well, no, because
Let
they're
let
gonna
them build
destroy each other.
let them build unattainable expectations and then ruin their lives over it.
And
How about that?
it's
that
worked.
sounds
It's
great.
worked for me. Like,
Yeah.
it's burrowed in deep
Yeah.
I kept trying to get married until I got it done, kind of thing. And it wasn't like I was just, oh, I must be married. But I had that internal drive that I
Your
want to get that,
your culture taught you that those palpable feelings that came from inside should lead toward these external actions.
Yep.
And you just kept following down that rabbit hole
Yeah.
until one worked.
And I mean, that was I would say the end game of my romantic pursuits anyway, because I'm very monogamistic.
Mhm.
I just I didn't have a lot of safety or whatever when I was young, so I think I seek that now when I'm an adult, right? So
Yep.
how do you get that forever? Well, you can't, but you can try, right? And that would be the road there. To lead this back to your traveling,
Oh, here we
you're
are.
I enjoy that because you're a lot more open. Like last week, you said I like to just dart ahead with a helmet on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like where I'm a little more like okay, caution, right? And every now and then you really do need that. Even if you're going to be a cautious person, just
Mhm.
straight ahead with a helmet on.
I subscribe to what's called proactive optimism and proactive pessimism, where as an active pessimist, you can be aware of the dangers that are out there,
Yeah.
but understand that they're not all going to come true, and the worst case scenario rarely actually happens. It does sometimes, but as long as you're prepared for a plethora of medium level contingencies,
Yeah.
then you can kind of show up somewhere and say, you know what, when I get there, there will be some bureaucracy to deal with. There will be some physical danger to deal with. There'll be some whatever things you might be worried about in said adventure. You understand that some of those things will happen and be prepared for some contingencies and decide that those are risks you're willing to take. Strap on your little helmet
Yeah.
and away you go.
Hope it's comfortable.
Yeah.
See, how I get through that kind of anxiety, because everyone is suffering from anxiety these days, it seems like, is okay, yeah, but say it's a week. How long does a week take? How many weeks are in a year? Can you deal with a week of discomfort?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, of
Exactly.
course you can.
Mhm.
What's the worst case scenario? You die? Okay, so what? You're gonna die one day anyway.
We're all gonna die someday.
If you put that ultimate caveat in there, it's like, well, it's not like he's wrong, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I will die one day. A week doesn't take long.
If my tombstone, not that I'm gonna have a tombstone ever, I'll get burnt for sure. If my tombstone eulogy whatever says he took some risks and died sooner, well, that's a bit of a compliment in a sense.
I always have a bit of a nihilistic humor about death, where I'll be doing something stupid that seems dangerous, but I do it all the time. Like
Yeah.
at work, there's all kinds of stuff like
Mhm.
that, where it's to a normal person not in that environment would be like, "What are you doing?" kind of thing. And I'm like, one of these days I'm gonna explode, like, and that'll just be the end of me. And then on
Yeah.
my tombstone it'll be, "Here lies Jer. He died lighting a charbroiler with a piece of burning paper." You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
there's just all kinds of crazy stuff that happens in kitchens that
Mhm.
people would be like, what are you doing? But things are always like that in kitchens.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I just always have that nihilistic flair of I'm gonna die, like the building's gonna blow up one day, some gas leak, I'll just be dicing tomatoes or something, and then it just, and all I'll think after is, well, that was as good as I could have asked. At least it's an indiscriminate end. That's all I'm looking for. Like I don't want to be assassinated or
No.
I don't want that
Really?
malevolent.
That sounds so cool.
But I don't want the malevolent intention. I just want something awful to happen, and then everyone's gone.
But just imagine being at the level of something that you get
Sure, it's a bit of an honor.
That's
I
like,
don't-
whoa.
I don't
that's
want to
a
die
compliment in
slipping on the
itself.
stairs.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
fair.
I don't want to be stepping out of my truck and
You
get
don't
hit
want
by
it
a car.
the
Like
pain to
something.
last.
No, I don't want something meaningless.
You
No,
don't?
I would rather I don't want a slow, painful death, but I would.
I don't want that either.
I would rather. I would rather.
universally-
What about you, Kevin? You want a slow, painful death?
sounds good, but I mean, what
Just
else is
give
on
me
the menu? Like,
give me something for the pain and let me die.
what does quick look like? Faster? All right.
I would rather a painful death though
Sure.
than an instant death. Because we keep hearing about all the chemicals in our brain that gets
Oh, you want
released
some
at
DMT?
death.
Yeah.
So I would rather be stabbed.
All that dream
I
gets
would,
stored up
yeah,
there.
I would rather be injured but not have my head pulverized, so that my brain can live on for those 20 minutes
Yeah.
and have those end of life experiences. I feel like there are so many things in our life that are rich and palpable and interesting. Like,
sure.
I've already mentioned love. That's one of those things that doesn't make any sense until you feel it and you're like, oh, there it is.
Well,
That's
I know a
pretty
guy
neat.
who 20 years was, I'm never going to be with anyone.
Yeah.
Never. And then just the other week, all of a sudden he has these feelings and he's like a young boy again, you know, like it's, he's got like love songs on a playlist and stuff. And then it all came crashing down
course.
immediately. And then he's extra emo for
The
a while.
higher
And
the
I'm
roller
like,
coaster goes.
this happened to a near 40-year-old man for the first
Yeah.
time. It can happen to anyone at any age.
Oh yeah.
And I think death is an even more valuable experience
Yeah.
because you only get it once.
I agree with that. But
Well, not according to near-death experience people.
wow.
Ooh, I'm
I
not
mean,
gonna play with
my
that.
thing
You ever
is
read
like,
those books?
No.
There's a book categorizing like it, he took down hundreds of accounts of near-death experiences.
Okay.
They're so cool. Like they're absolutely so cool. I mean, a lot of them are very similar. The light, the being embraced by love,
Mhm,
and it's
mhm.
a lot of the DMT release
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
There's,
well, that's what we get when we dream too,
Yeah.
right?
there's
But
a lot of
drip-feeded.
out-of-body experiences. There's a lot of like people that are watching themselves die on the operating
Mhm,
table and then coming back. Like it's super cool stuff. I just found it super intriguing.
See, I'd rather have an experience like that where I can take those last few minutes of consciousness and reconcile
So,
my life's experiences.
There's some argument that that's all nonsense and that people are just crazy, right? I've heard people like,
course.
"Oh, that's bullshit."
Wait,
But
hang
you-
on. You're making this argument? I
I'm not arguing that because I believe, like, because people always think I'm an atheist or something, right? And I'm not at all.
Yeah.
Like, I find that too arrogant. I would never
Yeah, I
say
get that.
there's nothing
I completely
because
agree.
what do I know?
How
it's
could you
not,
possibly know?
It's not because I'm spiritual either. I don't necessarily believe there is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, hey, man, I know literally everything I've been told.
Yeah.
That's it.
You're one dude out of 8 billion people on a planet.
And
in
how
a
many new
galaxy, in a
things are we
universe,
being told every day?
Like, yeah.
Right? Like, if they tell us there are aliens tomorrow, suddenly there are aliens.
I am waiting
like
for
that.
that.
Just
Well,
like
like,
that, though,
The
right?
other, like, I mean, they really teased us with that. Like,
They're
I
getting us
swear
ready.
that was coming like down the pike, and then all of a sudden it's like politics. It's like, who cares now?
They're getting.
You
They're
just said there's
drip-feeding
out of
it,
this
right?
world craft. Come on.
Great. They're just gradually increasing our comfort with the idea before
Yeah,
they
I
pull
know.
the curtain all the way.
Well, even
or
like
they're pacifying the masses.
Yeah.
even there was a guy there was a paper released talking about this, like, technically this propulsion system, the gravity propulsion system. There was a guy that released an article like researching that theory, and so it does feel like, okay, well, we're slowly giving evidence as to how these things work and that they work and that they
It'll be
exist.
drip feeded, and I think some of it will only be known by people who look for it.
Sure.
But the broad bones will be given to everyone.
Yeah.
I think it's like it's so ridiculous to me to think that there's nothing else out there. Why
Sky's
would
too
we
big.
be all there is? Like, what a human egocentric idea.
It's arrogant.
Have I not expressed my opinion on aliens in this podcast yet?
Oh God, no.
We haven't
Oh,
even got
man.
onto aliens yet.
So-
This is
yeah,
the
we haven't
first.
talked about
Man,
aliens.
we shouldn't go here.
We should definitely go
Okay,
here.
so-
Well, we're already here,
So
so,
I-
we
I-
may as well roll around.
I
in it.
feel as though I'm physically.
we still haven't
and-
even gotten to any of his travel
Oh,
at
we'll
all.
get there.
Now we're
He's
in
traveling to
space.
space right
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
I haven't even stepped on the plane yet.
Now
here.
let's talk about his alien views.
I feel like I'm between both of you on the subject, though.
I hope.
So
I think we're on the same page though, so I don't know how exactly you're between both of us. But go
He's
for
gonna
it.
be in the middle somehow.
in a metaphysical way.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Literally.
So I believe in the it's not the expanding universe theory. It's the concept that there's an unlimited universe, that there's unlimited other objects floating around outer space, just like planet Earth. And therefore, there are lots of other sentient beings. However, I like to take our planet and our species as a brilliant example. Our planet's been floating around for literally billions of years now, slowly developing all kinds of geological formations, and more importantly, life. So life popped up, biological life continued for millions of years, and finally, after all of that, humans have evolved from this, where there is this sentient life that is able to develop inorganic technology, we'll call it. And now, after thousands and thousands of years of humans trying to organize and work together and cooperate, we finally developed space travel. And we're finally looking at the stars going, maybe we could contact other life. But we're likely to extinct ourselves, burn ourselves out within the next couple hundred years. Meaning that in our planet's life cycle system of sentient human beings, there's been billions of years, and this little blip of maybe, like, so far 50 years of space going, well, more like 80 now, but 80 years of space going, we might get to 300 years of space traveling humans, and then we're gone. So how many other organisms, how many other planets will follow a similar curve on a different beat than us? And even if they do make it here, they're either too early or too late to meet humans.
I think that makes sense in the way that we experience time.
Yes.
Like, the problem is that we have time as a day. It's 24 hours. We have these
Yeah.
lifespans that are
Yep.
this long, but that's all dependent on gravity.
Yes.
So it's one of those, like, if you don't have the gravity that we have, what we're talking about in terms of billions of years, that doesn't even make
So
sense.
don't
somebody
worry,
that-
my more complex theory in this, I'm not going to try to explain on camera at 7 in the morning.
Oh, please do though.
No. Relativity comes into play
Sure.
in that our entire billion-year span of evolution in this planet existing as what we know as the Earth, that entire span could happen in a blip
Yes.
relative to this other sentient spacefaring species
So
lifespan.
I was talking to a friend of mine at work a while ago about, like, time travel is gonna happen. He's like, no, it'll never happen because
We're doing time travel right now, bro.
He's like, it'll never happen. You might be able to like speed time up, but you can't go back. I'm like, here's what I know about humanity in general. Is if there's a will to do it, someone will figure out how to eventually, right? How many things have we said no to before? Like,
Yeah.
how many things have we said, we can't do that. That'll never happen. This is just one more thing. We're gonna be able to go back too, I think. I don't know how we'll do it, but I do think we'll be able to.
When 1984 was written, not only was that technology impossible, I'm not talking about the government set up in 1984, but just the technology of having the screens in each room that spied on you for the government. Not only was that technology non-existent and seemed sci-fi, but the concept that we would actually institute such a system seemed fully laughable.
Yeah.
And here in 2020, here we are with some real creepy parallels.
Well,
Well,
it's
we agree to
basically-
it on our phones. every
Kevin's
time we
hanging
get-
out with one right now.
Yeah, legit.
and we
Things
acknowledge
listening
the
all the time.
risk. We acknowledge the risk, and we click accept,
Yeah, of course.
accept.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
don't
trade
even think about
we'll
it.
trade that for the convenience, right?
Of course, yeah.
Of course. Like I said, we'll gladly give them everything to have the convenience.
Mhm.
It makes life easier for us. So
But my calendar's so much easier now.
Yeah.
Golly.
yeah, everything is easier, but it also has added more complexity.
Mhm.
Like I was talking to the same guy at work the other day about this. There's days when just operating these devices just to catch up on everything that's happening online and stuff, you lose most of your day doing that. If you're in a lot of that, like
Yeah.
me, like if I can't check my phone all day at work, when I finally do, it's an hour or two of work.
Yeah.
And that's just catching up. That's not
Mhm.
extending
Engaging.
any new
Yeah.
olive branches or making any new connections or anything. That's just to be at total, you know? So how much time we invest in the technology that's, as you said, also spying on us potentially, right? It's substantial. Screen times. There's like apps now that show you your screen times. I'm sure the average for all Canadians is very scary. Like
Yeah.
if you were to find
Probably a couple hours at least.
at least a couple hours every day, right? So how many hours a week is each person staring at
Mhm,
screens, right?
mhm.
That's where the show Black Mirror, that's what the Black
Oh,
Mirror is,
I
right?
love it.
Your phone. The phone screen is the Black Mirror because
Mhm.
you see the image is a black reflection, right?
Mhm.
I didn't know that actually. A friend of mine told me that. I was like, "Oh, that's a really clever name.
Yeah,
That's
of course.
a clever idea."
Yeah,
Um,
because it is
Or
the
the
Black
TV,
Mirror.
I guess.
Yeah.
TV would
if
do
you,
it too.
If you lock this,
Yeah.
it is just a black mirror.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which I was excited. I like Black Mirror. Most of them are pretty good.
Yeah.
But they're not making any this year, I guess, because
'Cause the world's too
2020
weird.
is Black Mirror.
Yeah, here we are.
Legit.
It's all
would be-
coming true.
It would be too on the nose right now.
In 100 years, it'll be the prophecies of Black Mirror.
Yeah.
That's where I
seriously.
was even like, that show is already dated
Yeah.
because we're already doing the futuristic
Yeah.
sci-fi that they're kind of like horror showing us about. Like, there's a few that we aren't yet. Like that one with we were talking about the military where the other people they turned
Yeah.
them into monsters, right?
Yeah.
To my
I
knowledge,
mean,
we haven't
digitally we're
implemented-
doing that
Oh, for sure.
because like what's happening with like the people going and killing Trump supporters. It's like you're giving them an identity of something that is horrible.
well,
to
they'd have
justify
to be
killings.
monsters to support Trump,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the idea.
I
I mean, they're right, but
see. I don't know. I like being an observer. I don't really like being invested in either camp or anything really at this point because it just all seems a little outlandish.
Especially right now, because everything is so polarized.
Yeah.
Like
I've-
it's really right
I've
now. It's pick a team and get on there.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. We all need to share. We all live here,
Yeah.
and not many people are gonna just leave. So we all need to share, whether we fucking like it or not,
Yeah.
polarization or not. Somehow we need to find a middle ground.
I just like the way I see it going, like I don't want to be too predictory and then have it go entirely the wrong way. But the way I see it going is not great. And
You don't
I
say.
think you're pretty safe there, buddy.
yeah.
Well, there's a lot going on in the world today to give you that.
But there isn't.
I
This
think
is the other problem with it, right?
This is where I agree. Like I'm like, we're in the best and the worst time ever.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yes.
Because like
Strongly
the
agree with
the
that.
problem is like I love tempering most things with statistics. Because if you start looking at statistics, all of a sudden whatever the lens that you're looking through starts to look less crazy.
Sure.
Like just crimes in general, like crime stats in term like a lot of the talking points that they fill the news with, statistically, things get better and better, right? Like that's how it works with the modern society. We get better at highlighting when those statistics go the opposite direction, though. So it's like if murders are down overall by 70%, and then all of a sudden we up the focus on that 30% by 100%.
That's what we do, though. That's
Exactly.
human nature.
Well, but because
and social media.
yeah,
Well,
exactly.
But this is a social. There's something I heard on Sam Harris is there was some emotional test where if you give say you can give $100 to one girl,
Yeah.
or $100 to 100 people,
Yeah.
and it's the same amount of money depending on what country they're in, kind of thing. You feel more sorry and empathetic to the one girl, even though
course.
you do 100 times the good by giving to the 100 people.
Yep.
So when you decrease the amount of overall suffering, you can personalize better with the number. So when you're saying murders are down,
Yeah.
if we still see one person get shot in the road,
Yeah,
it can
that's
become as powerful as
becomes
100 people
way
getting
more
blown up.
personalized, yeah.
That's a crazy trick of the mind.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You would think that you would care more that 100 people died. You actually somehow care more when just one dies. You can
Because it's
increase
closer
that.
to you, right?
You can increase that
Mhm.
even if you know that person's name.
Yeah.
If
Hmm.
you're given a name to that one woman, you will care 1,000 times more instead
course.
of 100 times.
Yeah.
And you don't
Hmm.
even have to know her.
Yep.
Because we're not built to care at broad about the whole world
No.
No.
where we need to these days, but where we have been more focused on is taking care of our family of 5.
Our
Mhm.
tribe.
Care of our tribe, right? We can only care, they say we can only care about so many people on a deep level.
Yeah.
And then there's another sphere of people you know kind of well. And then
Mhm.
there's another sphere of people you know. And it's like
Just
200,
acquaintances.
Yeah.
200 kind of people.
Mhm.
And then beyond that, you have no fucks left to give.
Yeah.
And you can say you do. That's where they're like, share this message if you support such and such cause. It's
Yeah.
like, you don't support that.
I have never once
I have never
forwarded
once
that
either.
message.
And it's not that I hate the people that do that, but there's no way you care about this.
Yeah.
You're virtue
Mhm.
signaling.
Exactly.
And it's not wrong to just go, I got enough going on in my life.
Yeah.
So this is kind of that psychology is the reason that I think Trump's going to win again.
Yeah.
Because like Trump
I'm
is
not
the,
ruling it out, man.
Well, he's the voice of the individual, right? He's the I conquered COVID, which like if you are more self-invested and you're wanting to look after oneself, what he's preaching is that. Whereas the Biden end of things is more projection of a broad sense. And
Oh,
the amount of projection of a broad sense that's going to follow through, because like the amount of people that are going to go and like post something on their Instagram and then do absolutely nothing for it is infinite.
this is where I don't like. So I was talking to Dave about this Sunday. We got into politics for like an hour.
Yeah.
Because we always do that.
Of course,
right?
yes.
But I said to him, like, you gotta, like, these polls should be scaring you, not making you happy.
Yeah.
Because when you get a big swing, like 15-point lead, all it's gonna do is it's gonna make the people who will support Biden or would support Biden more confident that he's already gonna win, whether I vote or not.
Then I have to do less.
Yeah. So when they put
If you're the underdog and I
"You're
gotta put
15."
myself in behind this guy,
Yeah.
like
Well, and when you're, oh, I got 15-point lead, it's like, okay, so a lot of people are going to think, I don't even need to vote. He's already going to win.
Yeah.
Right? It increases voter apathy.
do you remember the George Bush Al Gore years or the John Kerry stuff?
Yep.
It was the exact same thing.
Yep.
It was the exact same thing. It was this like overwhelming confidence in the Democratic candidate. And not and you've got that was George Bush. He was moronic. Like he was if we were talking Biden level gaffes, he was far
Huh.
more than that.
Yeah. I don't mind gaffes. Like, I really don't.
Yeah, it's like they're human beings.
Well,
they're gonna mess
well, the
up.
idea of a gaff, like, it's like, yeah, he's a human being still. And I like the ones that show that a little more. Like I said, if Biden did more of those cringy moments
Yeah.
that really trend hard, I'm like, he would just embrace that. Just run on that.
Hey,
Just
look, I'm a
call
human.
people dirty bastards. And,
Yeah.
and
Well, I think he
scream at
wants to.
reporters.
I think he wants to. I don't think the like I think that there's this idea of presidential
Yeah.
has been shattered and they don't know what to do with
Yep.
that. Because like the Democratic Party has run like they appear very squeaky clean.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like that's and the Republicans are more like
Polished.
the gun-toting
And-
nutso people, right? Like it's like we can be a little bit crazy. But like the Democrats, I don't think they know what to do with the fact that Trump is just wild.
Can you imagine Biden trying to be silly?
I think he's tried.
Yeah.
I think he's tried a
we
number of
called him
times. I think it just goes
180 years
blip.
old.
Imagine if he let it go, how awful his silly would be.
Oh, dude, it'd be crazy.
Yeah, so I think we're lucky that he's going, there's a line here, and I'm not going to step over with my
Well,
cane too
you
hard.
can't get in that arena because it's like, it's like a little monkey fighting a giant gorilla or something,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Like you've got, even if you're a little bit good at being funny,
Yeah.
you're in there with someone who
That's-
this is why he is here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
You know what
is
I
a
mean?
public
Like,
personality. That
may
is
as
it.
well be a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're not going to be as entertaining as that.
No.
So it's just going to make you look worse if you try and play that way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where that's where I think maybe he can't go full on that way,
Yeah.
even if they did let him, because he's got handlers, right? Obviously,
Yeah, of course.
but
He
I
wouldn't
don't
have.
think
He
can.
wouldn't have won if he didn't.
Yeah, because I don't think I think he's just a good face for them with a good name.
I don't
right?
think he's a good face at all.
Well, no, but like he's got the name of VP, right? They needed somebody that they could just throw their political weight behind and move on.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like the whole thing is crazy. I just see it going a weird direction, and people are not going to like the direction it goes in. Just like they did not like the direction it went in the last time.
No, this is what I told Dave.
Some people did.
I think secretly, I think a lot of people lean towards the dish that he's selling. You know what I mean? Like
a lot of
he's
people are stoked he's building a wall.
well, he's not really building it. It's taking a long time.
That's
well,
not what
I
they think.
was gonna
People who
say-
are stoked he's building a wall,
Yeah.
no, he's building a wall.
Well, okay. So let's not go too crazy on that because we can get real weird with that. But like, I understand people being individualistic, trying to look after themselves.
Mhm,
I understand that.
Yeah.
and I think what they were trying to do with this two-party system is like this balance between altruism and individualism that is really lost. Because like if you could get those two parties to work together in terms of like doing good in the most efficient way possible, then you'd have like kick-ass government.
Mhm.
But like this whole thing of them like this side's bad and this side's bad and like that is like so inefficient.
Well, it's self-destructive.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
spend the whole day playing tug of war instead of forward momentum.
Yeah, and like that I don't know. I just feel like that stuff is what's going to get them kind of lost in the weeds. Like
Like,
they could be
Ch-
running faster.
China-
Oh, they're
China's-
lost in the weeds already.
Yeah.
China
Yeah.
scares the shit out of me, and they're like a humanitarian disaster,
Yeah.
obviously. And as far as the individualist is concerned, they're a nightmare.
Any
Obviously. However, they're very efficient
Yeah.
at
Well, I mean
destroying the planet.
when you sacrifice the planet and the people that are on the planet,
Yeah,
you could be super efficient.
exactly.
For sure.
here's one. Any interest in going to China?
Yeah, big
Yeah,
time.
for sure.
Where would you
once-
go?
I once skipped a rock from Vietnam toward China.
Sure.
I didn't skip the rock all the way across the river, but I
You got
tried.
damn close.
Halfway. So I skipped the rock almost into China.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was hoping that story was just going to be I once skipped a rock.
I once
just ends.
skipped her off and then drops the
Cool,
ball.
man.
And
Turns out
Kevin
I'm
and
not
I
good at
both
skipping
like,
rocks.
Yeah, weird.
okay,
So I
and
quit.
And
what do you mean? And that's it.
yeah, that's a
So,
Chinese proverb.
The only
Yeah.
So obviously I've flirted along the border of China on a bike trip in Vietnam one time.
Mhm.
It's real middle of nowhere. So I've seen China and I've been to several Chinese airports and spent some time there, but that's it. Yeah, China is super cool.
Yeah.
I would definitely like to go hang out there and see some stuff and eat their crazy ass food.
What is one place you have no interest in going?
Siberia.
Yeah. Fuck winter.
Truck
And like
winter.
and not even like I'm against Siberia. I just feel like we got it.
Yeah.
We got that.
exactly.
I
See-
can drive north a few hours and get that.
Yeah.
when
Like,
it
I'm
comes
good.
to that, like winter aesthetic, I love to look at it.
Yeah.
And I
winter's
love-
gorgeous.
From
I
a
love, like-
warm campfire.
Right,
or
you're
something.
sitting all, and then you go out to start your car and it won't start.
Yeah.
And it's
Exactly.
an hour to get it cleared off or whatever.
Honestly, a nice snowstorm puts me in a great mood.
Sure.
I've got
yeah.
a lot of beautiful childhood memories related to a good snowfall. It was always snowing in New Brunswick. I've got lots of good childhood
Yeah.
memories.
Yeah, I know Nova Scotia was like that too.
Yeah, so a good snowstorm puts me in a great mood. It was snowing this morning.
Yeah.
In a great mood. I was like, screw it, I'm gonna walk to work. It's gonna be great out there.
It's that weird mix of rain and snow where it's not going to
Yeah.
stick to anything. But
Yeah.
However, I'd rather be wearing my shorts
Right?
in 28 degrees at 2 a.m.
100%.
See,
eating
Yeah,
mushrooms with my friends.
Yeah, that sounds
late
better.
Yeah.
20s, mid 20s is as high as I want it to get. I like that mid range where it's like 15 to 20ish. I don't like being
Mhm.
too hot. I'd
Ah,
rather be cold. I honestly would because at least I can cover up. I hate that sticky feeling, you know.
Yeah.
But I gotta say about snow is like I love it up until Christmas, and I'm wearing a Santa hat, and I've got
Yeah.
a candy cane through my nose, and I'm
Yeah.
having a great time. I'm
December
drinking
26th.
drinking a hot cocoa, watching terrible movies just because they're Christmas themed, like
Yeah.
Ernest Saved Christmas. Horrible movie, would never watch it. Christmas, I'm watching Ernest. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Jingle All the Way.
Yep.
Awful movie. Great for Christmas. Right? There's
100%.
so many bad
Wait,
things we
Did you,
do.
did you say Ernest?
Ernest Saves Christmas.
No,
That's-
I haven't seen an Ernest film in so long.
The only one
Yeah.
worth watching, in my opinion, is Saves Christmas.
I saw a bunch as a kid.
How the Scared Stupid is pretty,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Goes to camp.
But those movies
Not
are
good.
awful. They're awful movies. We're just nostalgic for reasons, right?
Mhm.
Like you showed that to a person now, they'd be like, "What the hell am I watching?"
Yeah, we were fine with some pretty terrible
Yeah,
stuff.
they're
Mhm.
really bad.
Just going back and thinking like, oh yeah, these were dope, and
It-
then
you
actually
couldn't-
watching them. Ooh.
You couldn't
Unc-
make
Uncle
Ernest
Buck?
anymore.
Yeah,
Uncle Buck was
exactly.
actually, you know,
Wait,
for its time.
Well, I mean, you're remembering it. As
fair enough.
You
Fair
know what
enough.
I mean? Like you're remembering it as
I'm like,
great.
don't mess with Uncle
you
Buck.
know they had an animatronic bear, right?
Yeah, they did.
Ernest Saves Christmas would not be doable, let alone watchable anymore,
Yeah.
because it would be like, is he a pedophile?
Oh yeah.
Because he's hanging out with like this 13-year-old girl for some reason.
Yep.
Like
But-
he's just like her friend. It's like, why are you friends with a 13-year-old? You're 40 years old.
Yeah, those are all those things in the
Can
movies
you
that nobody.
imagine having a 13-year-old friend as like a 13-year-old girl as a friend? This is
Sounds-
my friend Sarah. It's like, this guy's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's he doing?
Now he's on a list.
Yeah,
Sarah
yeah, you're on
Earl's
a
gotta
list.
go.
Yeah. So you couldn't have that. You couldn't make it, let alone watch it.
Yeah.
You couldn't serve that to someone now. These things were in theater.
But Planes, Trains, and Automobiles
Yeah.
is a classic piece of
Yeah.
film history.
I feel like a lot of the comedies back then were like risky enough that and like that like they kind of knew that
Well,
they
they
were
got riskier
ridiculous.
over time is
Almost
the
nothing
best
from the
part.
Oh, yeah.
90s is watchable these days.
Yeah.
I was watching The Nutty Professor with my son the other day because I hate myself.
Fair.
And I'm like, this is truly horrific. Like, it's horrific. And this was a family comedy. It's like fat jokes, race jokes.
Yep.
There's spousal abuse in there.
No, there was a time where they got
Fart jokes.
They got more and more vulgar, and then more and more censored, but also more vulgar. You're like, what is happening
Well, I
here?
feel bad for any of the comedian actors during the 90s because it's like any of them could be taken out and flogged now. Like, and they were all just
Well, they are.
harmless.
That's still happening.
It is,
They'll
but
go
like
back to
all
jokes
it
that
is someone pointing a gun because
Mhm.
there's enough there to kill any of them.
Yeah, of
right.
course.
Like by today's standards, you couldn't do any of that stuff. It's like they've just put a blanket over it and they're hoping no one notices how awful it was.
Well, I mean, like, did you guys see Bill Burr on SNL?
I seen that
It's the
clip
best.
on
His old
YouTube,
stuff?
but
No,
I didn't
he was
watch
just on
Yeah.
Saturday.
Ooh.
it. He
it
just
was
pissed
the
everyone
best.
off, right?
He did Bill Burr. It was unapologetically Bill Burr pointing it right at the people that were sitting right in front of him, and they had no idea how to do it.
What happened in the clip? Because I didn't see the clip.
I mean, like, so he, like, I would just highly recommend you listen to it because it's
Oh,
great.
I'm
It's Bill
going
Burr.
to today, my day off. So
But I
Is
mean,
this where we
like,
play the clip and then have our commentary on the podcast?
I think we would get taken down.
yeah, you get taken down.
no, we
Because
gotta play it
SNL
at
is-
us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But like, it's he does such a great job of mocking the people that are sitting right in front of him in a way that they laugh at, and they have
So it's
no.
crowd talk.
Well, I mean, no, not necessarily. It's he is making fun of like the people that are canceling people right now. Which ironically, like the people that are on SNL, like the Shane Gillis stuff and like all that stuff, those are the people that are canceling everybody. The people that
Yeah.
are enjoying SNL are the ones that are
See,
almost
I
in
can
charge of
honestly
this
tell
cancel
you I
culture
haven't
thing.
watched
Really?
SNL and
Yeah.
I don't even know how long.
Oh, they're at the forefront of it because like a majority of the people that like are like it's the NBC kind of ratings and sponsors and we need to
Right.
keep these people happy, that kind of thing.
It's the corporate people are the ones going, oh, we'll just not hire them again.
Yeah.
Fair.
Well, or like that people will write into them and demand
Yeah,
that they get
yeah.
canceled, right? So
Well, and
like,
they
he
can
goes
control
right
your
hard.
future connections too,
Yeah.
right? Like if they tell everyone else, hey, this person's done.
Yeah.
It's
Well, like
that
his first
influence, right?
his first joke was that like he's like you should wear a mask or don't. I don't care. We have too many people anyway. Like he just first goes off at like I
My
mean
Which
if
is
you-
boy.
true.
Yeah, like,
which
legit.
is true.
And
we
then-
do have too many
But
people.
that's the thing. Like you can see these people awkwardly laughing because they're like, "Yeah, he said wear a mask. Death? Everybody's oh, he hates everybody." And then like he goes into like,
I mean, if you're dumb enough to not wear a mask.
yeah, fair. And that's the thing. He's like, if you don't want to wear a mask, that's the kind of person that needs to go. Like
Here
he
we
just
are.
goes hard at it with Bill Burr, and I was just like, yeah, he's unapologetically himself, which like he does it in such a way that like nobody's gonna be mad at it.
Mhm.
Like people are gonna be mad at it, but
yeah,
he did it
I've
so
seen
well.
some weird backlash, but I haven't seen the clip. The only reason why I know that the clip happened is because
Of the backlash.
I've seen videos on YouTube recommended to me discussing Bill Burr's clip or whatever,
Yeah.
and I'm like, he probably didn't even push anything. It just was him, and we're just moving this way, and he's right here, and then it crashes up against him, right?
He just did it in a way that you can't like that. It was the art of comedy was executed perfectly.
And don't forget, most people watching it who are offended will
Still laugh.
somehow not realize that it's all jokes.
Yeah,
That's the best part of this.
Well,
I
and,
always
like,
wonder if they're actually offended or if they're just trying to appear offended so they get a bump. Like, oh, I'm being very good. Look at me. I'm getting mad at this.
Or is it all virtue signaling and punching down?
virtue signaling for sure.
Because by all means, the more, if the common man, the common nobody, can punch down someone who sits in that golden throne of success in the media world,
that's punching up, though,
that's-
wouldn't it?
Yeah, should be punching up.
punching up
That
is,
feels good.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I've started to feel like punching down for me is attacking someone who has no platform on Instagram.
It's true, but you can still punch down someone who's kind of above your status in that platform by any means of, if you're attacking them and pushing them down, anytime you're trying to step on some fingers and toes, you're still punching down. Whether you're attacking Oprah or nobody.
Well, like he did a good job of like, because you could take that in, because he aimed a good chunk of this at white women
Oh, good.
as like
Karens.
Oh, Karen.
as the Karens. And the funny thing
A
is,
rare
is like,
species of bird, I'm told.
because I think
Not very
hierarchically,
rare.
No, not anymore.
Super common.
I think hierarchically they're viewed as like that's viewed as punching up in some respects, right?
Oh, you're right.
You know what I mean? Because that's
But-
why it was so much fun to shit on white guys.
I think punching up is still the wrong term for that, because
Sure.
punching up would mean giving a boost to people. I
Is
believe
that how that works?
I
Let's
think
fact
I've
check
always
some
thought
shit.
punching up
let's
is like,
use this
Yeah.
thing.
I've always
it's
thought
fine.
punching up is like the peasant or the jester making fun of the king or something, right?
Punching up,
Which is what a
speaking
pundit.
truth to power.
Yeah, see, I think punching up would be the king telling the jester he did a great job and that he should go help the other king too.
Oh, this is actually talking about the physicality of how it's easier to physically punch down than it is to.
Of course it is. You have
Because
gravity
you're working
against you.
against gravity.
Well,
Wow.
That's why I don't understand like an uppercut. Otherwise, I guess you get them right here, but
Yeah.
otherwise you're giving away gravity.
Right.
You go like this, you got a lot more gravity.
But now you're breaking your knuckles in the top of his head versus jarring someone's
Soft.
teeth together.
Yeah, fair enough.
I just
Also, the jaw is related to the knockout thing, right? You get a good jaw hit, you're more likely to get your KO.
For sure.
yeah, no, it's talking about how to punch up is to punch towards someone that's in a higher level of privilege, technically.
Yeah, I
That's
used
fair.
to always
Okay.
think that like the modern day jester would be like Colbert or Jon Stewart making fun of the president.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly,
mean? Like
yeah.
court
Punching up.
jester.
Okay.
That's a
that'd
punch
be
up.
that'd be a punch.
Cool.
Up. Yeah.
But if they
Except
started
for
making
back
fun
then,
of
they got
started
killed.
making fun
Yeah.
of Kevin, then they're
That's
punching
punching down. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm not Stephen Colbert. Which
You
I
can
will.
be.
Someday.
Someday.
I'll change my name to Stephen Colbert.
We'll change the drawing station into more of a news style
News desk
work
kind of
desk.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be
It'll be
okay
great.
with that. I don't know. It doesn't seem
It's
fun. It
gonna
seems
happen.
exhausting.
I mean, if someone sees you drawing their tattoo while you're wearing a suit and a tie, shuffling your papers like an anchor man and going,
Also-
"Ah, ha, ha, ah, ha, ha." Peter Piper,
I mean, it would get me some sort of notoriety, I would assume.
some sort.
Some sort.
Yeah.
All four people in the room would
Yeah, they
notice
would be
you.
thrilled.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool to see, I don't know, him just being Bill Burr. Like, because that was when I heard he was going to be on SNL. I was thinking, well, man, like that's kind of the guy that's the riskiest to put in an environment that's very
This is what's
hostile
happened
to his style
SNL.
of comedy.
That's SNL has become a joke.
Well,
in
when was the
itself.
last time you watched SNL?
I haven't watched it.
A
I
d- a
can't even
decade?
believe they're still
like,
doing
why would I ever care to watch it?
Right. So what?
Will Ferrell was still on it last time I was
I
watching
know.
it. Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
because it got like I don't know, it got so lame.
I'll be honest, I assume it's great.
It's
But I
not.
haven't.
It's not.
Maybe that's why.
And that's one
You
of
know,
the.
the only people that are watching are the people who are like, "Oh, SNL, I've been watching it for 500 years." Of
Well,
course I'm gonna
okay,
tune
so
in."
the only place you can watch it is cable. Do you have cable?
Really? No, I've never
Do
had
you
cable.
have cable?
No.
Okay. A majority of the people that I talk to do not have cable.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've never
That's
lived in a house with
anyone
cable.
in our generation and younger who has cable.
Yeah, it's
So
ridiculous.
who's watching SNL?
The 3,000 people that they sample for ratings.
Yeah. Well, like
Some
my parents
Older
have
people.
cable.
That's
Do
it.
your parents have cable?
My parents
No.
have cable.
Your parents have cable.
My
okay,
wife's
so,
parents have cable as well.
like the potential all of a sudden gets so limited in terms of who they're actually
Dying
engaging with.
mediums. They
Like-
need to transition.
They
SNL,
really
if they
do.
want to keep SNL going, you need to get it on YouTube.
Well,
Something.
and
but
like
NBC
they were
has a 400-year exclusive
Oh, well.
contract.
Yeah, I know.
They're going to be going away eventually if they don't transition.
But this is
And
where
they'll
I'm like,
drown people with them. It's fine.
I just get confused by like it was kind of this way when the Emmys came around, and I saw these things on Instagram being like, oh, the Emmys are on. I was like, who's watching the Emmys? Like,
yeah,
who's
I know.
out there
Yeah,
watching this?
Any award shows, they're god awful.
Yeah.
I've also never watched
all
any
these
award
people are wearing
shows.
crazy dresses, and there's all these shots of the crowd, and it's like am I supposed to care about any of this? What's
It's
It's-
weird.
what
and
is
it's given-
happening in this room?
It's like giving a shit about the Queen.
where does this
Yeah.
happen
Like,
in
who the
reality?
hell
Like, she
I
does
do know some
nothing.
people who like that stuff.
I pay these people to entertain me.
I was
Yeah.
in
That's
a
where a relationship
I was at a
ends.
grocery
Yeah.
store line the other day, and I'm always just giggling.
Yeah.
Because like Sarah will be like, "What are you laughing at?" She'll see him staring at the tabloids.
Yes.
I
Oh,
just-
yeah.
I love the tabloids. I'll never buy one, but like the Queen's secret love affair.
Yeah.
75 years. It was all a lie. And then there's this old guy on the
Sarah
next panel.
Silverman's
He's
actually an alien.
99 years old. It's
Yeah.
like, what the hell is happening here?
Well, I mean, those are at least fun, you know.
Oh, they're so scandalous. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
it. And you just think like somebody's buying these.
I just get confused as to like, so
The National Enquirer.
it is meant to be for entertainment because otherwise that's libel, right?
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
Like,
got
all
to
the things that they're saying.
then these unflattering photos they get
Yeah.
of people too. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, that was absolutely the worst photo ever.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Well, it's like any
Somehow made the Queen look worse.
yeah, or any Hollywood star
Congratulations.
at the beach. They somehow look terrible for some reason because there's not.
It'll be the same picture on one magazine. They'll be like photoshopped thinner, and then on the tabloid they'll be photoshopped thicker.
Yeah.
And you don't know which picture is actually the real one.
Yeah.
That's like that. I seen someone shared a picture. You know, Danny Trejo. He's like
Oh, yeah.
I think he's Mexican.
Mhm.
I hope he's Mexican. He's
He
a
is.
huge actor. Anyway,
Yeah.
he's got all these chain restaurants and stuff now. But anyway, he posted an image. He's like, some of you people out here looking like this, and he's got his face, and then he's got his face smoothed out, and it looks really ridiculous because his neck isn't smoothed out. So
Yeah.
it's just like this crazy smoothing filter he's got on, and I'm like,
I love Danny Trejo. That
yeah,
dude
he's
is
pretty
so
funny.
great.
That's pretty funny.
He's also just like he's such an interesting guy. If you ever get a chance to listen to a podcast or anything with him, his life story is crazy.
I haven't heard his life story, but I can imagine.
San Quentin boxing champ.
Is that right?
He's a
Hmm.
prison boxing champ. That's how he
Here,
got
here
into
I
film,
here I've
was training
stumbled
no
into
way.
another one of Kevin's strange shits he knows.
Dude, I don't know why, but I got
Just
I listened
locking
to
all
him-
this stuff in there.
because I had heard that he's a fascinating guy, and then I found
well,
a podcast
he
with
has
him.
to be.
Yeah,
Like even just looking at a person, sometimes you can tell. Hey,
He's
that
known as
the
the
guy's
teddy
seen
bear
some
man.
shit.
he's known as the teddy bear man because he drives around in the backseat of his car. He has teddy bears because he goes to the children's hospital to give.
I
Teddy
knew a
bears to
guy who
kids.
did
That
that.
is so
He's like
wholesome.
such a nice guy, and he
Wow.
came from like the most aggressive background.
Yeah,
He
that's
was,
what I'm saying. You can see it in his face.
Yeah.
Like he's seen some shit.
he was basically like a sponsor for NA, and that's how he got into film because he would go to these Hollywood sets to help people that needed accountability for like cocaine use because in the 80s it was so much cocaine was there.
Mhm.
So he was there and they would be like, "Hey, that guy looks tough. Why doesn't he get into this scene?"
No.
Yeah. Or he would train people for boxing roles. It was
Huh.
man, he had like a crazy story.
Now you're just gonna
Absolutely
go
crazy
off
story.
for an hour about this guy.
Oh,
It's like,
you got to listen to him. He's fantastic.
what
He's just
podcast
such a
does he have his own?
I want to see a picture now.
Danny Trejo.
You don't know who he is?
Oh,
Nope,
you should
never
You
seen
see
him.
his
will.
face and you'll know.
You'll be
who
like,
he
"Oh,
is.
that guy."
Did I spell it right?
Yeah. that
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
He's in everything.
is. I know. He is
He's
in
been in lots of
everything.
stuff.
He was
Yeah.
the Tortuga
Yes.
in Breaking Bad.
100%.
La Tortuga, not
Yeah.
the Tortuga.
Yeah, I was about to say. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
His
Bill
Spanish
Burr.
is slipping,
Interestingly
it's
enough,
okay.
Bill Burr was in Breaking Bad as well.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
Bill
He's-
Burr was in a lot of things.
As what?
I think
Just
Bill
side-
Burr's in
side roles.
Better Call Saul too, but I haven't watched that because I think it's
Well, it's
all
like, do you
just
need a
prequel,
Boston
right?
guy?
Yeah,
You call Bill Burr.
and then I love
Oh,
that
yeah, fair.
it's
You
like
need a Boston guy to
deadpan
come and
too. There's
yell.
no special spotlight on him. He's just a dude in
Yeah.
Breaking
Yeah,
Bad.
yeah.
Yep.
And then at the end, he's just in the credits, but it's not like special guest star Bill Burr. It's
Yeah.
just very subtle.
Well, I think like we always think of him as like this mega comedian,
Yeah,
but like he was also he's an actor too, and
Yeah.
he was
Yeah,
just getting
he was
the
also
roles that he could
coming
get.
up for over a
Yeah.
decade, like everybody
I think
else.
it's good that he didn't dive too much into that leading man comedy thing because it seems
No.
to really destroy people.
Although he was great in King of Staten Island.
I never seen it.
That's well worth a watch. That's the Pete Davidson one. That's another one. I don't know how they didn't cancel him yet, because like dude is
Like I said, if you go through any comedies from the 90s, you just pray you don't get caught.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you were to look at, what are they, Ace Ventura,
oh dude,
that's done.
it's crazy.
Jim Carrey would never come back.
100%. And now he's the golden child on SNL.
Is he?
Yeah, he's been on
See,
SNL every week.
I liked what he was doing like a year and a half ago. Sadly, I think it was a gimmick. Another one of his roles he was playing, where he was the nihilistic, like guy who dropped off the face of the
I
planet.
don't think that was a role.
Well, it seems like it was because he's almost back to normal.
Well, because
It's frustrating because I liked that.
so if I understand it correctly, his girlfriend died.
Sure.
Like she overdosed on pet medication, and it was his medication, and her family, I guess, held him responsible for it, and like went after him in court, and then he started getting into like I want to say like I can't remember which guy it was, but he started following and studying under like I think he was a Buddhist teacher or something like that, and he basically started going through the process of ego death. That was like when he was on all those talk shows saying, "Well, Jim Carrey's dead," you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and he just had this because like he
He
was getting
became a
introduced.
nihilist icon for
Yeah.
a minute there.
Well,
Like the
he was
real
getting
nihilist.
he was working through the this idea of like, okay, this image that everybody knows as me is gone, and he was trying to let that go and become something different. But I think now he seems to be embracing the fact that no matter what he is, he's still funny. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Like he's a funny
It
guy.
it seems to have stopped kind of all at once when I seen him do a Bill Maher segment
Yeah.
where he was just on there being comedian Jim Carrey
Yeah.
again. I was just like, what happened? The last time I seen you, you were like doing a really fourth wall breaky interview on the runway at some movie
Yeah.
where he just like this celebrity interviewer lady was trying to give him typical questions and he just railroaded her with weird nonsense
Yeah.
and then walked off.
The path to
It was like,
self-discovery is
whoa,
awkward.
look at that. Like, this guy's being a real person. And then all of a sudden, he's just back to being Jim Carrey. And I'm like, did you just screw with us all? Because I was like, is this just another character?
I wouldn't put it past him, but seeing like what happened in his life in that period of time, I just saw it as like a guy that went through a trauma and
He was acting out.
yeah. Well, or he was trying to find a path through it. And like
Maybe he accepted radical change temporarily
Could be.
to overcome that.
Yeah.
And now he's capable of slipping back into a more intentional, more profitable role.
It made him really relevant for me. Because I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, Inner Darkness on
Well, he
full
was-
display.
he was always trying to, you know what I mean? Like Eternal Sunshine,
That was a
number
great movie.
23, even the Truman Show. Like
Eternal
the Truman Show is
Sunshine.
like a good
That's-
example
that's
of
like-
him.
That's iconic
Yeah.
for a concept of a show.
Oh, 100%.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is like that movie has like wrecked my brain a
Yeah.
little bit throughout the years
Yeah.
because like I have dated women like Clementine,
Mhm.
the Rainbow Pixie Dream Girl
Yep.
thing, right? I've been that guy, the really repressed kind of stuck within himself guy chasing the really vibrant lady.
Yeah.
And then the idea of being able to wipe your memories away and like just all the ramifications of
Of
that
that.
idea.
Yeah.
Like that idea that movie was made on is like, whoa.
Oh, I know. It was so like it was ahead of its time, really.
It's
I don't
still
think we were
good.
ready
if
for
you,
a
if you
concept
watch
like
it,
that.
like it's not all amazing.
Yeah.
There's some stuff in there where you're like, okay, get on with it. But
Yeah.
like the idea, the premise of the movie, and how they executed it,
Yeah.
it really makes you feel the weight of how that would be
I was like a Black Mirror episode before Black Mirror.
for sure. And then the idea of like these two are gonna meet again, and I've done that. I had that with my second fiance.
Yeah.
And you both know it's gonna happen again,
Yeah.
more or less the same way. And then they're just kind of like, whatever,
Yeah.
we'll just deal with it. Like we're not gonna be together forever, but let's just be together anyway. It's like that's a really, really human way
Yeah,
to
it was a
end
very
that.
human movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, like, again, that's where anytime he tries to delve into those, I think that's probably the hard part for him. Is like they're not hugely successful in the way him being silly is.
Well, look at Adam Sandler. He's tried. He tried a couple times to be a serious actor.
Dude, Uncut Gems was great.
I never seen that, but my brother said it was good.
It was
But
very
Sarah wanted to watch that Hubie Halloween.
Oh.
We got
Yeah.
5 minutes in, and she said it. She didn't make any kind of a face or anything. She just looked at me and she's like, "I don't think we can watch this." And I was like, "What do you mean? I was full in for some old Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Like I was ready to turn my brain off and just accept what was on the screen." But she
Yeah.
was tapping out. Like, she's like, I've got her in a headlock, and Please let me out of
We're
this.
done here. We're
Can't.
done.
I just can't do this.
It was
gotten too
your
deep.
idea.
Yeah.
Like, so I wanted to hold
Doesn't
her feet
matter.
to the fire on it.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna watch it now.
Yeah,
It's
you
on.
said it, so we're watching
But
it.
man, that stuff, and that hasn't changed. Like his comedy it's the lowest common denominator, obviously. But it seemed like it even got worse.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
it was like, did he lower the bar, or am I remembering this differently?
I think there's like you got to get to a point where you have so much success, and like because I think his comedies initially came from a really genuine hanging out with his buddies kind of place,
Mhm, mhm.
and I think that only lasts when you have nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you're in the early days of Happy Madison and everything is like,
Wedding Singer.
yeah,
That was fun.
and like it all comes from real life experience. But when your real life experience is like, oh man, my Bentley's in the shop, my kids have to be home right now
Yeah.
and they're not in their private school, my nanny who is like, you know what I mean? Like,
When something only works because it's also magic,
Yeah.
then it won't keep working
100%.
when the magic fades away.
Yeah.
Because it's been 2 decades.
Yeah, of course.
Like all that magic happened 2 decades ago. Here are different people in real life. They're different people on the screen,
Yeah.
and you can't expect to try to remake that old
Yeah.
formula
Exactly.
and just have the magic pop out of it out of nowhere.
That's why I thought Uncut Gems was a really cool idea for him, because it was like this, like, obviously he's not Happy Madison anymore. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I don't know what's gone on with his life, but obviously he's not that guy.
I think he's I've heard he's manic depressive bipolar, and so I've heard he's got some some real darkness in him, and he's very he's aware that his movies that he's putting out aren't great,
Mhm.
and he doesn't care. Like it's not like, oh, I'm making amazing, like you're saying, Uncut Gems. I
Yeah.
think he probably cared about that one because he
Yeah.
cared about Reign Over Me. Did you ever see that movie?
No.
It's where he's a 9/11 survivor kind of thing. He had
Right. Yeah.
and he's all messed up mentally, and he meets a guy who tries to kind of bring him back, and
Yeah.
they make a band and whatever. It was a decent movie, but like it didn't work. Him as a serious actor, he did it with another one, Punch Drunk Love.
Yep.
And then he had another movie. He was with a Mexican family.
Mhm.
I can't remember what the hell that was called. It was like a love interest. Spanglish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's done this a few times where he tries to be serious, and they're actually not terrible movies.
Yeah.
Just they don't sell as well as his comedies. So then it's like, okay, I'll just make crap, right? And I know it's crap, and I'm doing it with a shit-eating grin, but it works, right? And I think
It's
it
like a
probably depresses him a little bit, where it's like, I know it sucks, but here it is.
That's like a
and so-
5-star chef who decides that the kitchen is too stressful. So now he's just going to have a taco truck
Yeah,
and sell tacos in the corner.
yeah,
And be like, it makes a living,
makes
no
living.
less stress. This
Yeah.
works for me. Works for
I
his
don't
mental
think he
health.
thinks he's Picasso with these movies.
Exactly.
I don't think he's trying and failing. I think he's serving up turds with a shovel,
Yeah.
and people are eating them up. Right?
And paying for them too.
Maybe I don't have the amount of money that would enable me to do something like that, but I would have a very hard time with that.
I
Would
think
you?
most artists
You
do
just,
have a hard
I think
time.
you just post and drop, like Rogan's always saying. Just put it out there and don't even look. Just
But like,
don't even look back.
post and drop.
Post and drop. Just post and fuck off. Peace
I just
out.
don't know. Like, if it can't be about money, because there's easier ways to make money when you have money. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't need to work. He just doesn't.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, he can invest that.
But
and
they
walk
do
away.
great though. They're not doing bad. Like that Hubie Halloween has been #1 in Canada on Netflix for like two
well, that's
weeks.
because, but like Adam Sandler did a deal with Netflix, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Eddie Murphy's deal with Netflix, where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, here's $100 million, do a couple things. So he's probably contractually obligated because he did the comedy special, which again, great. That was a good swing at the bat for him, I thought. Uncut Gems, and then maybe it was like you had to do a third funny movie, and this was his like.
Well, and I think it's like cashing in on Halloween.
And sometimes as an artist, if you've reached that point of writer's block, you're better off just putting something down on paper.
Oh, I see what
You're
you're saying.
better off
Yeah.
just putting something
keeping
out
it
there.
out.
Just get the idea
and
out
At
and
least trying to
move on.
sharpen that axe.
Hmm.
Well, I think it's past the opportunity for him to be a serious actor now. He's into his 50s. He's looking fairly old. You're not going to be leading role for much anymore. You might see this is where like they'll invent roles almost for older men,
Mhm.
like because they like that actor, like what was
Like
it, the-
everything Christopher Walken's doing right now.
or like
You have to
on
keep
the last
did
inventing
you see the
movies.
Mr. Rogers movie?
With Tom Hanks.
Tom
No.
Hanks. See, when I watched that movie, I thought this is Tom Hanks did good, but I think Robin Williams was made for this role.
Yeah.
Like I seen Robin Williams doing the better job of that the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
time, and it was not, oh, Tom Hanks is no good. It's just like this was made for Robin Williams to do,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? Because
that,
there's
that in itself, man.
it's
I wish
actually
we
a
had him.
really pretty good movie.
Yeah.
But Mr. Rogers was absolutely unflappable. He was so on all the time.
Hmm.
There was like no daylight there.
Yeah.
It was like he was built into that character. If you watch the movie, it's amazing how, because it's supposed to be a mostly true story. And I think the mostly true is the drama they made around it.
Hmm.
But I believe the interviews with him where they couldn't get him to break character, I believe that's 100% true.
That would make sense to
Like-
me.
Because I bet you they tried to get dirt on that guy always, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, I would assume you get to a point where, especially when you have kids roles, you know what I mean? Like you can't break the mystery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like because it's like when Santa takes off his beard or something like that. Like you're ruining it potentially for.
But they had
Everyone.
some old clips of his show because he was on two separate times. Like he took like a few years off in the 80s, but I guess he was on during the 60s and 70s, and he was like really really teaching kids some like really intense stuff about
Mhm.
war and personal meaning and philosophy and
Well,
stuff.
and that's
I
what
was
they
like,
had back
what
then was
the
the
hell?
Cold
Well,
War shows.
Some of those black and white clips of him talking, they're
Yeah.
eerie.
We need
So
to get-
when the nukes fall,
Yeah. Hey, we gotta
Mr.
get more
Rogers.
real with kids. Have you met coddled children these days?
yep.
Like kids are running around these days with just the craziest concept of how little effort needs to go into life and how everything's at their fingertips.
Yeah.
That as they age into their teen years, they expect things to be easy or something.
Well, they don't have the same structure they had when I was going to school. I can tell
Yeah.
you that for a fact.
Mhm.
'Cause my son has no homework
Yep.
and there's almost no note taking anymore.
Mhm.
Yep.
It's just someone rambling and the kids listen and
Yep.
then they take a test. That's almost all there is. And
Yeah.
it's almost impossible to fail anything anymore.
Well,
That's the weirdest part.
I'm pro the intelligent psychological approach of the Montessori, the creative learning
Mhm.
thing,
Yeah.
but there also needs to be something to teach kids that, hey, guess what? Anything to be successful in life is gonna be a grind.
yeah.
Whether you're getting a PhD, pursuing an art, working on a construction site, or going to that shitty office every single day, there is a grind here.
But there's
So
no
yes, to get the knowledge in your head, it needs to be fun and interesting and flexible. But how do we learn the grind?
well, we're not teaching it, that's for sure.
Well,
And
that's
I
the
think
thing is-
that's part of the problem I'm seeing. Like in my job, we have young guys come in and it's like it's pulling teeth to even get them to stay a whole shift
That's right.
because they're not
right.
built with any sort of
Resilience.
resilience because
Yeah.
they haven't had to sit, they haven't had
Yeah.
to focus.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's so many breaks, there's so many weeks off. Like
Yeah.
right now, my son has a week off school again. It's like every few weeks they have
Yeah.
a full week off
Yeah.
or a day off, and it's like, okay, they're not just being forced to day in day out do this, and then when they grow up and they're expected to work 80
Yeah.
hours in 2 weeks, that's
Oh.
like what is happening here?
My life is more like I go through phases of 80 hours a week
Yeah.
on a fairly regular basis. There's been
Mhm.
periods in my life where 80 hours a week
Oh, I've worked
is just the
I've worked
standard for 6 months straight.
for 2 different periods of my life. I was working 60 hours every week,
Yeah.
65 hours every week.
Our in Fort McMurray, so I actually lived there. I wasn't on rotation, and our work schedule, our baseline schedule, was 6 days a week, 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
But then, as a service guy and project manager and lead foreman for all of our service stuff, I would often work my 10 hours and then go spend 4 hours in the office,
Yeah.
or work my 10 hours and then get an emergency call and go work all evening, or oh, something's come up, I need to do a shutdown at the airport. Now I'm also working Sunday.
But
So suddenly we're hitting that 70, 80 hours a week on a consistent basis.
yeah, so one of my big things that I push a lot is not every period of your life is meant to be enjoyed. Sometimes
time.
all you're doing is working for tomorrow.
For example, here in Canada, we get winter.
Yeah.
That's 8 months a year
Yeah.
where you just grind.
Yep.
It seems to me
You
that
get through it.
generally what we have is a couple months of summer and 8 or 9 months of winter.
Yeah.
There's almost no in betweens. But yeah, I always say some days are like taking Buckley's, right?
Mhm,
Like it's
mhm.
you're not doing this because you enjoy it. You're doing it
Yep.
because it furthers you, right?
That's right.
That's a lot of what my life has been. And so the things that I've attained make each day a little bit better the next day, but I suffered to get them.
And if you can relax and accept that today just isn't that day. Today
Yeah.
is not a day of euphoria, fun, excitement. Today is just a grind day. If you can accept that, it's not going to make you miserable. You're just going to go
Well-
about your day in a state of contentment,
There's
and you'll be better off for it.
there's a school of thought called antinatalism. I don't know if either of you are aware of this.
Anteen what?
Antinatalism.
Now that was started as a troll, right?
That's
Uh,
don't
Or
don't
is that
get
actually
born.
real? Yeah,
Uh, so
because you didn't
okay.
have a choice.
okay, so there's
Okay.
Legit.
there's
That's like you
there's-
can hold your parents accountable.
it's a
'cause they didn't
counter
make
to
that- they didn't get to make that
pronatalism,
decision.
which tells you, generally in religious schools of thought,
Yeah.
to breed because more is better or
Right.
whatever.
I think we've learned that
Antinatalism-
more is not better.
Antinatalism is
More
saying
is too many.
not only should we not breed any more people, that all of that should cease.
All of it.
It would be better if none of us were here at all, because the chances of life being better than worse are impossible. Because the way that our brains are wired is like when a good thing happens, it's disproportionately powerful
Yep.
Yes.
in our memory.
Yes.
But the amount of suffering that goes on in general in all of human life is much greater than
Of course.
happiness. So the sum total of suffering is worth more than the sum total of happiness. And so all human life is predicated on there is more suffering than good. So why have life at all?
But does disproportionate suffering mean life isn't worth living?
Well, it's all about adjusting your lens, right? So like it's not necessarily even because people think it's you must be depressed to think that
And
way.
where is our threshold for suffering?
Well-
where do we decide where suffering is? Because I feel like
Bad Wi-Fi.
exactly the bar for where we were suffering keeps getting higher and higher and higher.
Yep.
Whereas many years ago, suffering meant not enough food,
Oh, I
and
know.
too many predators, too many bandits, too many roving bands of murderers in the night.
Yeah.
When
Just
na-
lions killing you.
Yeah, lions killing you. That kind of crap was the suffering bar. Anything. That's waiting here somewhere. And then everything above that was.
It's way up here.
Oh, I have sufficient food, water, and shelter for today. Perhaps even a mate to procreate with.
Here's where the whole thought process kind of ebbs off. Is
Mhm.
the end game is only two things are true in a lifetime.
Mhm.
Any amount of other things could be true, but two things are always true.
Death and taxes.
You will suffer and you will die. If you're born,
Yeah.
you're going to suffer and you're going to die.
Yes.
It is not essential that anything good happens.
Nah.
So if you're born into a terrible circumstance,
Slavery.
you're definitely going to suffer. You may never be happy.
Yeah.
You may get sick, right? There's all kinds of variables, but the
Mhm.
only things that are true about any human life is there will be suffering and there will be death,
Yeah.
right? Everything else is up in the air.
Yeah.
So if you just take that glance, life isn't worth living at all. That's the thought process. That's not my thought process. I've just listened to a couple hours of podcast about this school of thought, and I think it's absolutely fascinating, by the way. And I think
it's definitely fascinating.
it's a step farther than I would go. That's for sure.
Just one?
Well, because there's
Just one
other
step,
schools
eh?
of thought like misanthropy, where you hate all of human life, right? And I think that's far too aggressive. It's even more aggressive than atheism for me. I just can't be that aggressive. I can't be that hard-lined.
That's fair.
I need to be more open.
I want to Google atheism because I feel like atheism has a more narrow scope. than you interpret it to be, but I could be super wrong on this. For me, atheism simply means not adhering to a standard deistic view.
See, that would be more closer to my idea of
Because
agnosticism, where you're
I'm more of a I consider myself mostly atheist, but only because I don't believe in
there's
a god of the Bible or any particular deity in any particular religion.
So it depends as to which school of thought on atheism you go with.
you could be a devout atheist like
Yeah.
Sam Harris,
Yeah.
and
So his school of thought is
very aggressive.
it is quite aggressive, which is it presents the same kind of certainty that I think any other theism does.
Yeah.
Which, that's my main issue with Sam Harris, is that I don't feel like he listens to himself as a theistic preacher, because he is preaching certainty.
That's where Jordan Peterson calls him a Christian atheist.
Yeah.
Right, where he's
Yeah.
so
He's using the vernacular of a theistic system to describe his view.
Yeah. So atheist specifically refers to believing in God or gods. So if you believe that there could be a power in the universe that you would not define as a god, then you can totally be atheist, but still believe that there could be or is a higher power.
I mean, I think that it's difficult because, like, you either are theistic or atheistic would be the way I would look at it.
That's the thing, but you can be
well,
atheistic
theist
and still believe that there is a power in the universe, or that we are all made of energies and auras. Because I have lots of friends who, and I've also read books pertaining to people's energies and auras, and giving your tomato plant compliments to make it more healthy for you. People that believe in all kinds of
putting positive energy out.
Yeah, all kinds of energies and actual concrete systems that don't constitute any god or godlike structure. So you can be atheist and still adhere to these concepts of higher powers.
Well, I certainly believe that anything is possible, as I've said before.
Yeah.
But I do find it interesting to listen to different schools of thought.
Yeah.
So my favorite podcasts are always ones that are about strange philosophies.
Mm-hmm.
See, that I think would be more what I would like, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because this is like agnostic to me makes more sense than
That's what I was
atheism.
thinking. Agnostic. That's more what I am.
Because it's like it's this idea of, like, I don't know.
A person who claims neither faith nor disbelief in capital G God.
Yeah.
So I do claim disbelief in capital G God.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That would be atheist.
So by my definition, I am atheist.
Yeah.
But I still believe there could be a higher power out there, and I don't feel it's that extreme to express that, simply because I spent so long believing in a very literal God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of times what ends up happening too is, like, if you've been in a theistic system, the idea of giving it the vernacular.
Well, that
is
concept
the hardest part.
has been hedged in so firmly.
Yes.
That concept has been built with such solid bricks and mortar.
Yeah.
That now turning away from that means, oh yeah, no,
It can't be that.
I left that pile of bricks over there. Like, that pile of bricks is built.
I find that definitely happens more with people who were like yourself.
fundamentalist.
Yeah.
Like my wife grew
Yeah.
up that way too,
Yeah.
with Catholicism.
Mhm.
She has to have the hard line.
Mhm.
I don't need any hard lines. I'm like really like, ooh, like I always call it like perfect gray area where everything is just like up in the air
Yeah.
and crossing lines.
See, I think like if you're just strictly going on observation,
Mhm.
and like you just look at the things around you, if you if you are a type of person that wants the boundaries,
Mhm.
and I think I believe that atheists want the boundaries, in my opinion,
Mhm. Mhm.
because no boundaries is scary,
Mhm.
and it also puts you in a real view of where you are in the system.
You have
this,
to be
right?
more
Yeah.
responsible of yourself when you don't have clear walls.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think you need to be more grounded within yourself, or else you can get caught up in anything if you don't have walls.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like I get why that's scary, but if you are like going to go the observationalist route, I think the truest form of that would be like, well, we don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like I don't I wouldn't say anything one way or the other in any of these respects, because it's like me, I have no idea, and I
Mhm.
was very difficult. It was very difficult for me for a long time because I thought that I had to know this
Yeah.
this idea of like, um, if I didn't have an answer to that question,
Mhm.
something would explode. Was basically the way that I kind of viewed
Yes.
the world.
And
Like,
then
if
what
I didn't-
happens when you die?
I mean, that is, I think, a lot of the driving force of all of this.
Well, that's a lot
Right.
of what people worry about, right?
Well, I mean, what happens when you fall asleep? Like, nobody's freaking out every time they're falling asleep.
No.
I think that's part of why people are, when they're depressed, they sleep more often too.
Yep.
It's like more time without life, right?
Mhm.
More time where nothing matters.
I don't even know if it's that. I think that, like, I think there is something to the idea of, like, depressed is usually, like,
It's low
it's
energy.
so, well, I don't know about that. I think it's so broad as to what could be the input stimulus from that. But I also think
you
there's
can get
something about,
depressed
like,
from sleeping too much.
100%.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's a lot of function in sleep, and I think there might be some sort of either brain hindrance or help between large amounts of sleep. Because, like, if I'm in a good place, I don't feel like I need more than 7 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
If I'm in a bad place, I'll take 11 if you got it on the table. But, like,
Oh, depression naps, depression showers. Have you ever had one of these?
Oh,
I do
man.
depression baths,
I've never done that.
which is
but
the most
you just go and you
depressing.
stand in the shower and the
Yeah.
hot water's beating on you and you're just then it's like
Just
hazy,
sitting
like,
there like,
and you're just like you're barely alive.
Yep.
And that whole block of time seems to vanish, but
Yep.
simultaneously take 10 hours.
Yeah.
It's just that-
100%. Yeah.
I talked about depression showers to someone the other day. They're like, "What are you talking about?" And then the other guy around was like, "Yeah, I've had that."
Yeah.
Definitely
I'm like,
had that.
"If you know, you know."
Oh yeah, that's like depression in general. It's like,
Yeah.
if you know, you know,
Yeah.
because
Well,
it sucks.
One of those days at work when you're just like in your head, a bit stressed out for no reason, but generally just negative and shitty, and you're like, go home. And fuck it. I'm getting in the shower.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting what I have to do afterwards, and just showering. That's
Yeah.
it. That's all I care about.
Hiding. I'm
So-
hiding
Gone.
from life.
This kind of brings me back to this because, like, I have this tendency to assign positive and negative meanings to things
Mm-hmm.
because of what I was brought up with.
Yeah.
So a lot of my depression and anxiety was made worse because I felt like being depressed was also a negative.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it was
Mhm.
like, oh,
I
not
shouldn't
only
be
am I
depressed,
depressed,
yeah.
but I shouldn't be. And
Yeah.
it is something super negative
Not only
that
are
I
you depressed, but it's not okay to be depressed.
am. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're
Um,
actually not being. It's stacking
so
on
how could I?
And like, but then the thing that really got me was that it was never my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was never up to me to do anything about it. It was always something extra. Like, it must be something else, right?
Yep, yep.
And the personal sense of accountability for it was entirely gone.
Yep.
And it took me a long time to get to the place of like, oh, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Oh no, Oh no, I gotta change things. Oh no, it's not just some magical force
Yeah.
that's affecting
Yeah.
me that I can't do anything about.
Oh,
It's
my
that-
relationship with myself can actually
yeah,
turn this around, can change this,
100%.
can impact this.
and not to mention it's a lot of work, and I am the one that has to do
Yeah.
it, and that all
Yeah.
sucks. But like like once I started letting go of the idea that I had to have everything defined in the same bubble as this, because like that mere notion of like depression is a negative and you shouldn't have it,
Mhm.
rather than like, hey, this will happen to you at different points in your life. You need to look at what is triggering it in you and walk forward from it.
Yeah.
And that I wish that I had had that view of it when I was a teenager.
Of course.
Or
goodness.
even just given that as an option of like, hey, look, no, this isn't positive or negative. This is just happening to
Definitely
you. If
takes
you
a-
want it to
A
stop,
different amount of time
That's
because, like, for me, I got to that point fairly young where I started realizing what I was doing to myself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, but I couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
I had no idea how to stop it. But
Yeah.
I was like laughing at myself in the moment. Like,
nobody teaches you how to stop it.
I'm like watching the cycle, and I'm like, oh man, I'm doing it again.
Yeah,
I'm doing it
Look at
again.
me.
I
I
didn't-
just doing it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing it again, and I'm even watching myself, like mocking myself. Like,
Yeah.
an hour will pass after I do something that I've already done before, and I'm
That's
like,
the beginning of becoming the observer, though.
Yeah.
Becoming the
Legit.
observer of your own mind. Like that's one of the first steps in mindfulness.
but it took a long time
Oh,
for
yeah,
me
it
to get
does.
through. How do I not do the thing
Mhm.
again? Right?
Yeah.
How do I do something good
Hey,
instead?
if this stuff was easy, depression just wouldn't happen.
I'm
more
still
people-
not
more people would just be
100%
on top
because
of it.
I'm still there's one part of my life that I still cannot get rid of. It's been like a passenger the whole way, and
It's
I
other
can't.
people, isn't it?
Well, it is. It's external, but it's also very core to me,
Mm.
and it's the things that you've had forever that you just can't part with that you know are bad for you, but everything else in my orbit is going well. So I've got all these things over here, and then I've got this, and it's not
Yeah.
moving with these things.
Yeah.
And if I could get rid of this, then I could have on this side, I could have these things moving too, right?
Yeah.
What is this?
Cocaine addiction,
I knew
I
it.
assume.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Bumping rails through those. That's what's in those little those things. Just a big storage
Yeah.
of coke.
I'm just
They're
been,
hollow.
I gotta love with you guys. I've been high the whole time.
I knew it.
Hey, you can probably see the wild look in my eyes.
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
the one.
Look, yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
So that would
PCP.
be what I do for a living.
Slowly
I don't
picking a hole
I
in your
don't love
hand.
what I do for a living.
Oh yeah.
But I love the people I work for, and it's consistent, and it's good money, and it's not going anywhere. It's on my terms. I'm the man there. I get what I want when I want, kind of thing,
Mhm.
and it's great. But it's not. I'm not
Fulfilling.
passionate.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's I've been capped for what I do. I'm not going to get much better, and I've been to that point for 10 years.
Just like the biological love wearing off in a new relationship.
Yeah.
The love has worn off for you. When you were still learning things every day, that was exciting and you were in love with it.
And having new experiences with different people, training
Mhm.
different people,
Mhm.
and working with different styles and all kinds of different things over the years, and it's all very gray and just
Now a new person is the 100th new person
Yeah,
you've
and I-
taught this to.
and I have categories for people I'm training. Okay, well it's gonna be like training this guy. It'll be
Yeah.
like training that,
Mhm.
and you learn how to work with different personalities and get the
Yeah.
best of the different, and it's just ad nauseum.
Yeah.
And it just all becomes gray. And now when people are struggling with things, I find very easily,
Mhm.
it's easy for my mind to be really critical of it.
Yep.
And like, how is this not easier for you? And like seeing someone freak out, it's like, I'm just very blank about all of it.
Mhm.
There's almost no enjoyment in any of it anymore.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that part is the hardest thing for me to get away from.
That, kids, is the grind.
Yeah.
And we need to learn that doesn't matter what career you pick,
That, yeah.
after a decade, you're
Those
gonna
things
feel
get-
those
That's why they
Right.
grind.
start
Come
to
into
say. That's why they say don't make a hobby your career. Or
Ugh.
don't make your.
I
You know what I mean?
screwed up there.
Well, I don't know if it's. I can't
Whoopsie.
speculate on the legitimacy of that claim,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm not doing
mean,
what I
we-
love.
We can. We know enough tattoo artists. They're all pretty miserable after a decade.
Dude, Adam Sandler.
Yeah,
Ooh,
were just
good
talking about this.
example.
we were just talking about.
It's
yeah.
still
Yeah.
his grind.
Terry.
Ah, yes. So yeah, that's the big part of my life. It facilitates everything else. It's like this is the generator for possibility.
Right.
Possibilities happening in this quarter of my life. Generators taking up this block of my life.
Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons that when people go into the ideal of the universal basic income, so it's like, okay, this government or God gives me money so I can do whatever I want to do, right?
I still want to do something though.
And
Mountain
so
biking.
the idea being that, like, okay, you've got enough money that you could do something that you want to do that might not be able to provide you the money that you wouldn't, you know what I mean? But there's still this idea of, like, everything can become a grind if that's how it goes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you, in your role right now, it could not be a grind if you viewed it as not a grind. You know what I mean? Like, if it hasn't been 10 years of repetition, if you viewed it as, like, every day I'm going to change, and you still have that positive upward direction, you can stay in that for however long that gumption lasts
Yeah.
for you, right?
Yeah, however
like-
long that fever dream takes.
Yeah, really. Because you see that with everybody. Like Wolfgang Puck. Do you think Wolfgang Puck, with his sweet ascension in restaurants and things like that, do you think that, like, he will have plateaus, and
Yeah.
he will have days where it's like, man, I'm a Michelin star chef and it sucks, and because that's a mindset thing
If
rather
you're
than a role thing.
passionate about it, like I had, like when I was early in, I had some guys working around me who were like, "You need to go farther with this. You could do more. Like you could go as far as you want in this
Yeah.
type of thing." And I was just like, "I don't care. This
Yeah.
isn't my passion in life. It's never going to be. It's just a way to pay the bills.
Mhm.
Pays the bills handsomely, and I can get whatever I want.
Yeah.
Basically, like I'm not rich, but like if I live within my means, I can get what I want. Obviously, get tattooed every week for how long?
Which is kind of a definition of rich that we all should be working toward.
That's all you need.
Is making our lifestyle fit our means.
Yeah.
So much of what we consume in the media is showing us that rich means having more money than you can spend.
Yeah.
When in
Keep your
reality,
Jeff
expenses
Bezos.
low.
yeah.
Yeah.
In reality, who cares what Jeff Bezos has as an income? Sure, you can call it too much power, luxury, whatever. Don't be jealous of him.
Just work
He-
on yourself.
He has more problems on his plate because of that. When if we can go to work, keep our life simple, have people in our lives that sincerely love us for who we are, and then live within those means, we'll be happier and live a better life than the millionaire who's overextended.
I think the thing
And-
is like people see it as when you look at those types of people that they're free from the normalcy.
Mhm.
Like if you look at the Jeff Bezos or like
Mhm.
whoever you want to look at, it's that somehow they are demigods in
Mhm.
some respect,
Yep.
where it's like they're free from the toils of regular life.
Mhm.
But we have a very like anytime somebody says like something really conspiratorial or that basically they're giving somebody more perception than an average human. Like I always think of this when it comes to like Kanye West.
Yeah.
Like everybody talks about Kanye West as though he's some mythological being. He is a guy who is struggling with bipolar disorder and in his mania creates dope music. He creates great music during his most manic episodes, and he has said as such. But everybody thinks that he's some sort of maniacal genius that's doing things outside of the realm of humanity, right? Like that he is this like, oh, he's Donald Trump's pawn or what like
Pizzagate, bro.
pizza. Well, anything that's better than just being a human that
Yeah.
happens to be in a sphere.
Yeah.
And like that somehow, since he has wealth, since he has success, he has to be
It's-
outside of the
He
reality
could
that we
be
experience.
broke as it gets, but because of his stardom,
Mhm.
anything is possible.
which is unfair to him. You know what
I get
mean?
it on a very low level.
How do you set reasonable expectations when you have so many options at your fingertips?
But I get a little bit of this, like more on TikTok, which again, the Lad Bible seen me on TikTok, not on Instagram. 'Cause
Yeah.
My TikTok is a dumpster fire. I always tell you about this.
Yep.
Like it's insane. But the things that are ascribed to me are outlandish. Like I could be a Martian to one person.
Yep.
I'm a trust fund baby to someone.
Yep.
Someone else thinks I've never worked a day in my life.
Of course.
I have to be a Biden Harris supporter.
Yeah,
All kinds of things are ascribed at you
of course.
if you have a following, if you
Mhm.
have a big number by your name. All of a sudden, anything becomes possible.
Well,
Mhm.
because that makes you not them.
I'm not them because we're not on the same level, but we are.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
it doesn't. Like I'm not rich, obviously.
Well,
But
this is where
it's,
like
it's not about the rich. It's about the size, the scope, the people talking about you.
Yeah.
You become almost alien to
Yeah.
people.
Well, I think that's also where like the conspiratorial version of like they have some sort of like there's the shadow government and everybody knows because like we're trying to view somebody as better than us. Like we're trying to give godlike ability
Someone's
to
gotta be.
someone. Someone's got to have a handle on this. This can't just be a rock floating through space that is just missing asteroids all the time.
So
Like-
we're grown up. Like we talked about this last week with your parents are 10 feet tall, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then as you get older, you see your parents are mostly fairly incompetent, usually, but you made them into something. But clearly someone else must be better than them. The
Yeah.
people who are successful must be better than them.
Yep. The
So-
blue check mark.
We always
have it.
we always need someone to be more successful than us
Yeah.
because we want to believe that someone has it figured out.
Yeah.
But if you're like me and your parents, you've learned from a very early age, didn't have shit figured out,
Mm-hmm.
I've never assumed anyone knows what's going on.
Exactly.
And I'm very honest that I don't. So
Mhm.
I'll have these like people will be like, "Oh, you responded to me." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just a big dummy like you are. We're all just a bunch of big dummies. Some of us get to go farther than others."
I think that's why Rogan is such an appeal, because he's always saying that he's a moron.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And
he's
it's
always
true.
admitting his
We're
humanity,
all
and
this big.
yeah,
He
he
had-
doesn't want to be deified.
He has competence, confidence, and humility,
Yeah,
which is a pretty great cocktail, because we all have competence at certain things.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's being true with ourselves. Oh, I am good at some things, and I am confident in those areas because I have competence.
hmm
However, that competence and confidence comes from acknowledging the other areas I'm not great at, whether it's
Yeah.
something professional or interpersonal or social or mental health, whatever. But that confidence comes from knowing your strengths and honestly knowing your weaknesses, and then knowing your weaknesses adds to that honest humility. Where
Knowing
you're
your
not-
weaknesses helps knowing your strengths.
Exactly.
of
and
course,
you're not
yeah.
beating yourself up. You're not sitting here saying, "Oh, I'm a real piece of crap,"
Yeah.
because you're saying, "Oh no, here are some aspects of my life where I'm a dumpster fire. Here's
Yeah.
some aspects of my life that I'm not quite satisfied with,
Yep.
but it's okay.
This is what I'm working.
I
on.
It's
acknowledge
like-
them and I see them and I'm open to learning more."
You take an honest, broad look at yourself from the outside and go, "Well, you're not the best looking guy, you're not the smartest guy, but you've got a hell of a drive, and you can suffer. Like
Yep.
you can take a beating and
It
keep
may
going."
not be long, but it sure is skinny.
Yeah, exactly, exactly that, right? Instead of criticizing your shortcomings, you start making them work for you, because if you're honest about where you suck, then you know how to sell the things you are good about.
Mhm.
I tell people all the time, in the online sphere, there's a way to succeed for almost anyone if you know where you suck and where you're good.
Mhm.
Like I have a friend who's got a voice for radio, or face for radio, I say all the time, right?
Yeah.
But I say it as a compliment. Like he should be doing voiceovers and reading audiobooks and doing streams and stuff and being really charismatic, where he doesn't need to be in the
Through the
spotlight.
lens.
But it doesn't matter, because then people can just think he's handsome or
Yep.
whatever, right?
Yeah, of
Meanwhile,
course.
he's not.
Howard Stern.
Sure,
That's a great example of it.
sure. It's
It's like-
not as much of a diss as it sounds like.
No.
It's just about knowing
Knowing your strengths.
your
Move
strengths,
forward. Yeah.
right? And then accepting the fact that you're not going to be what you want to be. Like early in, when I was doing my first year on Instagram, trying to be an influencer type person, I was like, I was trying to be attractive or smoldering or whatever. I'm not going to be that guy. I'm too old and I'm not that good looking, and that's fine. Knowing what I am and then just being weirder, right?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I'll just be myself and embrace that
Yep.
and build around that. I can't be the young hot model guy. That's not going to work for me. Doesn't offend me. It's just, what can I do, right?
Yep.
That's what people need to ask themselves. Too many people want to be a rock star. Not everybody can do that.
Imagine you had a public personality, you had some sort of level of success based on your physical appearance.
Sure.
How shallow and
Cool.
empty would that feel?
That sounds like a
Like-
nightmare.
It feels very ephemeral to me, ironically.
Yeah. Ah.
It's like the picture of Dorian Gray.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if you ever read the book, but Dorian Gray has this painting done, and his friend Lord Henry screws his mind up and says to him, "Look at it, Dorian. It's beautiful. It's more beautiful today than you'll ever be again." And Dorian Gray is a good-looking young chap,
Mhm,
and he's
mhm.
not very smart at the time.
Mhm.
Is completely in horror over the idea that tomorrow he'll look worse than this portrait,
Yep.
right? And that every day going forward he'll get a little worse. He'll never look that good again.
Mhm.
And Lord Henry is this corruptive figure that drip feeds some little nuggets of truth that you're not supposed to learn from someone else. You're supposed to come into them,
Yeah.
right? So Lord Henry is this old nihilistic man who's been divorced a couple
Mhm.
times and is really beaten up by life, and teaches Dorian Gray all these things early.
If you learn these things from natural life experience and accept them, it's all healthy. But if someone's feeding you these things in
Yeah.
a negative context, saying this is bad, you're going to sit there and dwell on them in a very negative light.
Yeah, it really screws him up. And anyway, he ends up making a deal with the devil to,
Mhm.
I don't want to age. I don't want to show my corruption, my
Mhm.
I don't want to overeat and get fat. I don't want any of that. I want to be this pretty forever. So he makes a deal with the devil on this portrait that that portrait will take on his sins and his
Aging.
changing and everything, and that he'll stay young and pretty forever, right? Um, but every now and then he'll go and visit this portrait to see what's happening to it, because he's basically getting away with murder because he
Yeah.
doesn't see the consequences of his actions anymore,
Mhm.
and it's driving him mad knowing that that picture is changing. It's probably my favorite book.
Hmm.
I actually had the Dorian Gray tattoo on my leg.
No way.
Yeah, but I just think it's such a great story, and it's so fitting to our times these
Yeah.
days, more and more, where people don't want to be seen for who they are,
Mhm.
right? We're doing anything to be seen for who we are, right? We don't want it. Like, look at all these filters, smoothing. People are changing their faces, changing their shape, their body shape, and then you meet them and you're not even close to the same person.
Yeah.
This is all Dorian Gray.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it
you're
was
right.
written in the 1800s.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I think it's it's
Vanity
humanity
is-
truth. You know what I mean? Like this is.
And that's ephemeral, right? Where I said if your success was tied to the image
Oh my goodness.
of a beautiful person, as soon as you're not beautiful anymore,
well,
Your value's gone.
yeah,
Well, once your self-esteem, once what you value about yourself, once what other people value about you is established in such a tightrope, you must walk through life so egocentric
Hmm.
and so focused on such a narrow band of what actually makes up existence and living a fulfilling life. It's got to do a number in your head. And this
Oh, yeah.
this is I think what we see in the female body image arguments. I don't think what they're targeting is, oh, the new beautiful is this. What they're targeting is, don't pursue this as the one most important dream.
Mhm.
Like, when you see such a percentage of influential female figures just having ascended to that point on their looks, that's so empty and hollow. And really, we need to look for more meaning than that.
And it's destroying people broadly
Yeah.
too, because like I think that on a subconscious level it screws with people when they
Mhm.
consume nothing but perfect all the time.
Yep.
Like my
course, yeah.
wife will be, I feel ugly today.
Mhm.
Like, why? I don't know. I just do.
Mhm.
Well, she doesn't know why, but
Mhm.
I'm thinking it has something to do with endless streams of people's edited
Yeah,
photos
of
being
course.
fed to her subliminally all day, every day, and then looking at herself in the mirror and going, I don't look as good as that.
Mhm. In your tribe of 50, as a hunter-gatherer, you weren't comparing your mate's physical features with a supermodel from Sweden. You were considering her features simply compared to how you felt about her, your biological
Yeah.
attraction. There were only a few other females in your tribe to even compare her against.
Yeah, we're not like, again, it comes back to we don't normally care about that many people, right? This is
Mhm.
really, we're at a unique kind of first. Even when we had TV, we didn't have the ability to encounter as many people as we have now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's literally endless amounts of people, and when all you're gonna see generally is the best people because that's what trends,
Yep.
Mhm.
right? You're not seeing Susan from 2 streets down and seeing, oh, well, I look better than that.
Meanwhile, Susan never comes out of the house
No.
because social media and normal media have deteriorated her self-image
Yeah.
to the point where she is a self-esteem disaster.
Right. Well, so but when we're seeing is 9s and 10s online,
Yeah.
and even if we're a 6 or a 7, we're feeling like a 2,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Where really not that way at all.
Mhm.
Like that's just the most polished among us that
That's
we're
right.
seeing. So